The Economics of Disruption, Why Black Women Entrepreneurs Are the Revolution We Need. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for what I promise will be a journey that challenges everything you think you know about entrepreneurship, economic power, and who truly drives innovation in our world. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Carnitha Hammond, a revolutionary thought leader whose work isn't just reshaping conversations, it's fundamentally transforming how we understand the intersection of race, gender, and economic empowerment. Carnitha isn't merely a researcher or advocate. She is a visionary architect building entirely new pathways for economic justice. Her groundbreaking insights have illuminated not just the barriers facing Black women entrepreneurs, but the extraordinary untapped potential that could transform our entire economy if we have the courage to listen and act. What makes Carnitha's work so powerful is her ability to translate complex economic realities into a vision so compelling it demands action. Her impact extends far beyond academic circles. She's creating tangible pathways for thousands of women to redefine wealth creation on their own terms. Today, I want to share with you some of the most powerful insights from our conversation. Because what Carnitha Hammond has uncovered isn't just interesting, it's revolutionary. Let's begin with a number that should stop you in your tracks. 15%. That's the percentage of Black women entrepreneurs who report profitability in their businesses. 15%. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, compare that to the fact that Black women make up approximately 28% of Black business owners in America. This isn't just a disparity, it's a damning indictment of systems that claim to be merit based but consistently fail specific groups. It shatters the comforting myth we've created about entrepreneurship as the great equalizer, the ultimate meritocracy, where anyone with a good idea and strong work ethic can succeed. The data tells a different, more uncomfortable story, and it's a story we desperately need to hear. But here's where our conversation takes a fascinating turn because despite these sobering statistics, something remarkable is happening globally. Female entrepreneurship isn't just growing, it's transforming entire economic landscapes. Women now lead a third of high growth companies worldwide. They run two-fifths of export oriented startups. This is an incremental change, it's a seismic shift in who creates and controls wealth. So we find ourselves at a profound contradiction. Unprecedented barriers alongside unprecedented opportunities. And this tension is exactly what makes our current moment so pivotal. During my interview with Carnita, she emphasized that we're standing at an inflection point. The decisions we make now, as individuals, as communities, as policymakers, will determine whether entrepreneurship becomes a genuine pathway to economic justice or remains another system that reproduces existing inequalities. Let me share three critical insights from our conversation that illuminate this crossroads. First, systemic barriers create profitability gaps that individual effort alone cannot overcome. When we look at that 15% profitability rate for Black women entrepreneurs, we're not seeing a motivation gap or a skill gap. We're witnessing the concrete effects of historical exclusion from financial networks, limited access to capital, and persistent biases in how business opportunities are distributed. Carnitha pointed out something profound. Entrepreneurship doesn't exist in a vacuum. It operates within economic and social systems that have been designed, intentionally or not, to flow resources towards some and away from others. Recognizing these disparities isn't about assigning blame, it's about accurately diagnosing the problem so we can create effective solutions. The second insight is equally powerful. Entrepreneurship represents far more than individual economic advancement. It's a vehicle for collective empowerment and wealth redistribution. When women build successful businesses, particularly in underserved communities, the impact ripples outward in ways that traditional economic metrics often fail to capture. Consider this finding from the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor that Carnitha highlighted. Women's startup activity has risen from 6.1% 2 decades ago to over 10% today. This isn't just a statistical shift, it represents a fundamental realignment of economic power. McKinsey projects that women will control 60% of global assets by 2030. That's not just wealth creation, that's wealth redistribution on a historic scale. The third insight cuts to the heart of what's needed now. Access to resources remains the critical bottleneck, but the solutions must be as nuanced as the problems. Time poverty due to caregiving responsibilities, limited financial literacy, and underutilization of available services all compound the capital access problem. Let me bring these insights to life through three powerful stories Carnitha shared during our conversation. In 2025, Amira Rasul founded The Folklore, a commerce platform enabling small brands, primarily Black owned, to create digital storefronts and sell products online. What makes Amira's story so illuminating is how it addresses a specific structural barrier: the digital divide that prevents many minority owned businesses from accessing scalable sales channels. Before The Folklore, countless talented Black designers and product creators were effectively invisible in the digital marketplace. They had the vision, the craftsmanship, the determination, but lacked the technical infrastructure to reach customers beyond their immediate community. Amira didn't just build a business, she built the missing bridge that hundreds of other entrepreneurs needed to cross the digital divide. By creating an e commerce solution tailored specifically for underserved markets. She didn't just advance her own economic interests, she created infrastructure that enables hundreds of other businesses to thrive. This is entrepreneurship as ecosystem building, not just individual advancement, and it reveals something profound. Sometimes the most revolutionary business models are those that unlock the potential of others. The second story broadens our lens globally. Across 30 countries surveyed by the Gem Women's Entrepreneurship Report, while 1 in 10 women started companies compared to 1 in 8 men, women lead 33% of high growth firms. What's particularly striking is how targeted interventions have moved the needle. Training programs improve startup skills by 27%, and opportunity recognition rose by 79%. Behind these statistics are real women whose entrepreneurial journeys were transformed not by platitudes about leaning in, but by concrete resources and structural support. Women who gained access to networks that had previously been closed to them, women who received training tailored to their specific challenges, women who found mentors who understood their unique obstacles. This isn't just progress, it's proof that when we address specific barriers with specific solutions, transformation follows. The wave of wealth creation that Carnita described isn't happening by accident. It's the result of deliberate efforts to change the conditions under which women entrepreneurs operate. The third story focuses on Latin America, where nearly half of women have launched businesses but face significant resource access issues. Only about 70% own bank accounts compared to 77% of men, and less than 5% apply for loans specifically for business expansion. What makes this example so powerful is how it illuminates the intersection of gender, entrepreneurship, and financial inclusion. Women in these regions are concentrated in precarious sectors like services and domestic work, which impacts their income stability and scaling possibilities. The solution isn't simply more loans, it's comprehensive strategies that address the entire ecosystem of barriers. These women aren't failing because of lack of ambition or business acumen. They're constrained by systems that weren't designed with them in mind. And yet, they persist, creating enterprises that support families, employ communities, and build resilience in economies that often offer them little support. As I reflect on these insights from my conversation with Carnitha Hammond, I'm struck by how they fundamentally challenge our assumptions about success, merit, and opportunity. We've been taught to think of entrepreneurship as a purely individual endeavor, a test of personal vision, grit, and execution. But the evidence tells us something different. Success in entrepreneurship is never just about the individual, it's about the systems we build, the resources we allocate, and the barriers we dismantle. This isn't to diminish the extraordinary achievements of women who have succeeded despite the odds. Rather, it's to recognize that their success came at a cost that shouldn't have been required, and that many others with equal talent and determination never got the chance to show what they could build. This realization leads us to a profound question. What if we designed our economic systems to amplify talent rather than obstruct it? What if access to capital, networks, and knowledge flow to those with the vision to create value, regardless of their background? What kind of world might we build? The answer, I believe, lies in the extraordinary potential that Carnitha Hammond's work reveals. When we look at the rising tide of women entrepreneurs globally, we're not just seeing individual success stories. We're witnessing the emergence of a new economic paradigm, one that values collaboration alongside competition, sustainability alongside growth, and community impact alongside profit. This isn't just good for women entrepreneurs, it's good for all of us. Economies thrive when talent can flourish without artificial constraints. Communities prosper when wealth creation is inclusive rather than extractive. And innovation accelerates when diverse perspectives shape how problems are defined and solved. I stand before you today not just to share information, but to issue a challenge. That 15% profitability rate for Black women entrepreneurs isn't just a statistic, it's a moral failure that demands our response. The rising wave of women led businesses globally isn't just an interesting trend, it's a glimpse of what's possible when we get this right. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you perpetuate systems that waste human potential? Or will you become an architect of change? Will you be satisfied with incremental progress? Or will you demand transformation? As Carnitha asked, what one bold step can you take this week toward overcoming barriers uniquely faced by Black professionals? How might your action contribute not just personally, but help build stronger pathways for those who come after you? The revolution in entrepreneurship that Black women are leading isn't just about creating more businesses, It's about reimagining what business can be. It's about building economic systems that recognize the full spectrum of human potential and create pathways for that potential to flourish. I believe we stand at the threshold of an economic renaissance, one where entrepreneurship becomes a genuine force for justice rather than another system that reproduces inequality. The choice before us isn't whether change is possible. The data shows it's already happening. The choice is whether we'll accelerate it or resist it, whether we'll be participants in this transformation or merely witnesses to it. The future of our economy and our society depends on how we answer. What will your answer be? Thank you.